In the days of Elon Musk and Tim Apple or whoever's making all the coolest gadgets, we have to look back at some strange inventions that didn't quite make it. I'm Taylor McWaters, welcome back to Most Amazing. Here are the top 10 most strange inventions in history that were withheld from the public. Kicking off the list at number 10, car shovel. And no, I don't mean a snow brush, I mean a car with a shovel on the front. Listen to this crap. In the early days, old-timey automobiles were obviously super dangerous. They didn't have a rear view camera, cars couldn't park, nor could they drive themselves. They were also new to civilians. Nobody expected a large machine to pop out of an alley. A lot of people were getting hit by cars in the 1930s. That whole ahooga thing wasn't really effective. Especially the days when only like 5 people had cars, no one was really looking around for these beasts. So the solution, brought to life by inventor A.J. Graham, was to attach a bench to the front of an automobile. So if you hit somebody, they can at least just, sit and hang out while you figure out where the brake pedal is. I mean, is this a solution? I feel like that's more alarming than getting just hit by a car. Imagine turning onto Carnaby Street, then all of a sudden you're just floating in the air. Like, what just happened? Why am I in the invisible boatmobile? Number 9, the family bicycle. This bizarre invention we can gladly keep in the past. Inventor Charles Steinlauf made a family bicycle back in 1939. And no, I'm not talking about a tandem bike with 4 seats. I'm talking about this nightmare. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. So there's one person in the front just making sure, there's no other people or families of bikes that you're gonna hit. The driver is hunched over on the top at a nice 45-degree angle, super cozy, with their butt right in front of the back pedaler. It's a good view. They're sitting right over top of, you guessed it, the sewing seat. I can't edit a Google Doc in an Uber, let alone sew a nightgown on the road. Sorry your top doesn't fit. I made it on a Dr. Seuss bike. Number 8. Anti-theft briefcase. Morning commutes can be quite hectic, and today we thankfully have slim, safe anti-theft backpacks so you don't have to worry about losing any belongings during that early morning rush. In the late 1950s though, they had anti-bandit bags, which had a couple of neat tricks. The first bag came out in 1959. Banks were being robbed constantly while transporting cash, so the smoke bag came out. Red mist would cover the thief or scare them away, ideally, and it worked for the most part. Kind of inspired that blue ink that pops out, like the blue ink that sprays all over the cash you get from banks. That's like a newer version of this red mist smoke trick. And then come 1963, the anti-bandit bag came out. The bag that emptied its contents if it were to get stolen. Perfect. Inventor John H.T. Rinfret was tired of being robbed all the time, so he designed this, where if you turn your thumb the wrong way accidentally, you're hilariously late for work. Yeah, sorry, my briefcase got stolen, and then I had to clean up all of my shit. Horrible morning. Number 7, the Dynasphere. This next one made me laugh while I was typing this up. This is so scary and funny. The Dynasphere, ladies and gentlemen, is my new favorite thing. Again, we're going back to the early 1930s for this one. Inventor John Purves was inspired by one of Leonardo da Vinci's sketches, so he made this Decepticon. The Dynasphere could reach speeds of 30 miles an hour, and there were 2 built in history. One that was electric and one that was gas powered. That went much faster. These things were well on their way, I guess. They thought this was the future, but physics, am I right? Hitting the brake too hard would cause the driver to gerbil, which means instead of the outer rim spinning, the inside would only spin. That's so scary. We've only recently figured out this type of mono wheel, and I gotta say, even today, it still doesn't look cool. Okay, it looks a little bit cool. It's kind of cool. Number 6, the Meow Machine. If you had a mouse problem back in 1963, this handy Meow Machine would do just the trick, and it would only meow 10 times a minute. How not annoying is that? Good luck sleeping. Its eyes would light up as well every time it meowed. So it looked cursed, but that was the main goal. It was to scare away rodents that would tiptoe through your kitchen at 1 a.m. This was the route you went if you didn't feel like using poison, the thing that works. Because this of course didn't work too well at all. These mice aren't Ratatouille, they're not gonna be afraid of things moving. A robotic meow and little blinky lights, it's not gonna work. Number 5, the fat trimmer. We have Apple Watches, Fitbits, apps. We have technology that can monitor your heart and let you know what's happening before you even know. We have watches that can tell if you fall over. It's amazing. But did you know that working out in the 1920s was so easy that you just had to stand completely still? Almost sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? It is. The hip trimmer was this vibrating exercise belt which shook your fat away. Sounds pretty crazy, well that's because it was, and it didn't work. Sometimes things that feel too easy just are. Jillian Michaels, for example, she went through numerous lawsuits over her fat-burning pills. The Kardashians also pushed this waist trainer, also ended in a $5 million class action lawsuit. The one that was called Waist Gang, appropriate title, wasting your money, hashtag Waist Gang. The Flex Belt, a newer version of the fat trimmer, had to completely change their advertising after after it was deemed false and just blatantly wrong. Some of these inventions only happen once, while things like these are constantly rebooted and fail over and over and over again. Number 4, radioactive water. Back in 1932, even Byers, at just 51 years old, he was a steel manufacturer and a golf pro, but he met his fate in a horrible, horrible way. He was told to drink this product by his physiotherapist. He said that drinking this radioactive water was going to help him with his golfer's arm and his fatigue. Each of these bottles contained 1 microgram of radium and 1 microgram of isothorium mixed with water. If this sounds like a bad idea, well, you're very much onto something. It was horrible. The guy would drink radiation after every meal. Like, sure, he lost weight and he felt good for a bit, but eventually he developed bone necrosis in his jaw and he lost several teeth before his jaw straight up just fell off. We know a little bit more about radiation these days, thankfully, but that poor guy, I can't even imagine. When they said results were jaw-dropping, they didn't mean literally. Number 3, the butter protector. Finally, something to protect our butter. Our prayers have been answered. Back in the 50s, nothing was more embarrassing than dragging your sleeve through a stick of butter. So inventor Russell E. Oakes thought of a solution that was going to change the entire world, but also at the same time, make him rich. A butter protector. Instead of moving the butter away from the one path your elbow will take while eating a meal, put this larger thing there. Now instead of your elbow hitting the butter, you'll have to dodge this frisbee-sized contraption. We have things kind of like this today, but those are made of mesh. They keep bugs away from your picnic. This thing didn't even get to the mesh part. Then some genius came along and made a butter container that wasn't the size of a dinner plate, so this guy, of course, went out of business. The butter protector. Okay, relax. Number 2, the donut dunker. Another classic. I'm gonna put this one on my wish list. The donut dunker is exactly what you think. Invented again by Russell E. Oakes, our main guy. This device was used so you can enjoy your breakfast without making a mess. Yeah, instead of wiping your fingers and mouth with a napkin like a normal person, you would have to WD-40 this thing off and then put it on your table, make sure both the dunker and the donuts and the coffee were all perfectly lined up, and then, and only then, where you're set for breakfast. In the 1930s, the National Dunking Association, and no, I don't mean the cool dunk, thought that they made a breakthrough invention. Check this out, Russell. We're good. And finally, number 1, Vita Radium Suppositories. With guaranteed real radium, the home products company of Denver, Colorado came out with these handy suppositories back in 1930, and the way they marketed these things just made you feel like shit, because apparently that's how you do it. The company reaches out to weak and discouraged men. Me? If you are showing signs of slowing up in your actions and duties, perhaps if you have begun to lose your charm, your personality, your normal manly vigor, then certainly you want to stage a comeback. The man who's lost all these things knows how to appreciate their value. He realizes that happiness depends on his ability to perform the duties of a real man. Sweet, glorious pleasures of life. Nature intended that you should enjoy them. Now is the time to act. And then they put radiation right up their butt. The initial goal here was to, of course, feel better, but instead of waking up feeling great or refreshed, users eventually just stopped waking up entirely.